I wanted to share this story. My friend told me this today. It's an important story. It's about depression and all that stuff. It's a crazy ass story. My friend was telling me like when he was growing up at 4 years old, he had this friend. His name, let's just call him E. They did everything together. He was a very funny guy. He was a jokester. They would watch movies together. They would just do whatever. They all cracking jokes, like capping on each other, just giving each other a hard time. They had a real close bond. They were best friends. And he was a very intelligent guy too. Like, he had an apprenticeship at GM. He was becoming an engineer and everything. And also, he was very sarcastic. Like, he would always make clever jokes and stuff like that. Like, my friend would tell him, "Man, get your big-headed ass out of here," and then he would reply back like, "What do you mean your head's bigger than mine?" And he'd always have a good comeback. And he if you pronounce something wrong, he'd like correct you and be like, "That's not how you say it. This is the proper way of saying it," like in a joking way though. So he had a real cool personality and a very funny guy. But like, just to make the story short, one day, like 17 years ago, he comes over to my friend's house, because my friend's like 38 now, but he stayed with them for 3 days to hang out with them and stuff like that. And before he came to my friend's house, he stayed at my friend's brother's house, because they were all cool. He stayed at his brother's house for 3 days too. So then, while he's staying at my friend's house for 3 days, they're just hanging out, cracking jokes like usual. And my friend stays with him and his girl at the time, and his nephew was over too. They were he was playing with his nephew, like cracking jokes, playing, whatever, just having fun and everything. Sometimes my friend noticed like he would just stare at the wall, and my friend didn't really pay much attention to it. It's just, I guess, he got kind of thrown off by that, but like after all that, so like on the last third day, he was gonna leave. So my friend, he just knocked on his bedroom door, just to let him know, like, he's about to get going. And my friend just opened the door and he told him, "All right, whatever, I'll see you next week with your big-headed ass. Why are you saying it like that?" He's just like joking around. But usually E would joke back with them, but this time he didn't really joke back. He just said like, "All right," and he just like tapped my friend in the head like that, and then he left. My friend was looking at him kind of off, like, that was kind of weird, and he told his girl like, "Something's wrong with E. I gotta check up on him." And then, he went to sleep or whatever. And he woke up in the middle of the night, my friend, and he had like this bad feeling about E. You know how sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night, that's what happened. And then he went back to sleep, and then he wakes up in the morning, and he hears like this knocking in his door hysterically. No, I mean like a lot or whatever. But then he opens the door, and he sees his E's brother just crying and stuff. And my friend is just like, "It's E, right? Something happened." And then he's like, "How'd you know?" And then he's like, "Yeah, he's dead." And then damn, it was crazy, because they found out E basically went back to his mother's house, and he put a pillow on his face, and he shot himself. But like, it's crazy because they don't even know what was the reason. He always showed like he was cracking jokes all the time, had a good career ahead of him and everything. He had an apprenticeship to GM. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah. So it's a really sad story, and it hurts, I'm sure, because that's his best friend, number one. It was bothering me when I heard this story. So imagine him, that's his best friend, and you don't even know the reason why he did it, and he didn't even get a chance to talk to him. Maybe he could have gave him some good advice, because he always gives good advice. So I know that bothers him a lot till this day. But it goes to show, man, that sometimes people, they clown around, joke around, and they'll act like they have this great life, or that's well, not act like, but you know, they, like, you would think that they're happy and they have, like, they're always laughing, cracking jokes, clowning around, they have a good career, all that stuff. So you would think their life is good, nothing to worry about. But sometimes it's the people that act the happiest or clown around the most that are the saddest and depressed, you know. There's even a saying like how people feel sorry for women that are married to comedians because comedians are like the most bipolar, you know. So you just never know. And it's really, it goes to show you should just try to be kind to everybody you meet. Like, you should not give people a hard time because you might push them over the edge, you know. Unless, like, obviously if you got into some like argument, altercation, it wasn't your fault, it's a different story. But to like go out of your way to give people a hard time, to be like a bully or something like that, that's really messed up. And we shouldn't do that. We should try to be nice to everyone we meet. But it goes to show also that sometimes, even me included, we should check up on our friends, you know, just to see, especially the ones that seem kind of off, and, you know, to check up, to tell them, you know, you're there for them, or like share your problems, so maybe they'll share their problems back with you. And even the ones that seem like they're okay, if you check up on them, it's good, because that way you could see, like, you know, maybe you can give some advice to them and help out. Because sometimes, like this guy, my friend wanted to talk to him, but it was too late, because he was saying I gotta talk to E, but it was too late. So sometimes you just gotta like approach people, and he didn't open up to his problems. So it's like sometimes you gotta share your problems and be like, if you ever need something, you know, I'm here, and this is what's going on with me, you know, do you want to talk about something? And maybe they'll open up. Because honestly, it's a sad story. He was like 21 probably at the time when he did it. And sometimes I just be wondering, like, if you could help people out like that, then maybe if they could. I just you know, I just wonder, like, sometimes if, because when people kill themselves, it's really heartbreaking, because you just think, like, because I had moments in my life where I was fucked up, you know. I just didn't give a shit anymore. But at the same time, it's like, if I did something stupid at that time in my life, then I wouldn't been here to talk about it, you know. So I feel like whatever I went through in my life, it made me stronger to talk about, you know, to, like, at that moment, you don't know what strength you could get in the future, because you're like stuck in that moment. But if you were to, like, basically hold strong enough and just hold on and wait it out for like 2-3 months, then you realize that 3 months ago I got over it, now I'm stronger. Like, I'm not trying to say it's easy or anything, but I just wish that people that kill themselves, they could just like just wait and just wait it out for a few months and just see that the misery that they're going through, they feel a little better now. But at the same time, obviously I'm not in their position, so I can't say like exactly how. So I mean, like I said, I'm not in their position. I obviously don't know how each individual feels, but I'm saying from my own personal experience, I can only talk about how I felt. Like, we all have our ups and downs, but at my down moments, like, you know, you just really don't give a shit about anything. But the best way I could say it is, it's like, if you today, if somebody's going through what I went through in the past, I would just say, like, you're basically me in the past, and I'm you in the future. So I made it, and I'm doing all right. And if you wait it out a little bit, you're gonna be in my position and you're gonna be alright too. But you just need to wait until like all the misery, let time heal that. But I mean, I don't know if that works in every case though. That's the thing. I mean, people are built differently. So I don't understand, obviously, how much the other person is going through. I could just like understand from my perspective. But even after all that, I feel like we're all human beings. So to some degree, we all understand each other. It's not like the other person is some kind of different breed of human and it's impossible to understand. I feel like God made us all very similar. Even though we have our differences, we have our similarities. So one person can get through to another person. Some words that you say may be enough to save another person. You just never know. I just feel like suicide is something. It's not like it's impossible to not do it. I feel like, yeah, they can do suicide, but at the same time, some things could be said to prevent it, and it's not like it's I'm just saying, I don't think it's I feel like it's preventable if spoken to right people, if you got different outlooks on life and stuff like that, you know. I mean, some people, I guess they look at life differently, but if you talk to them and if these people have deep conversations with other people and they understand something about life that they didn't understand initially, and they get a different outlook and exposure on things that they never really had a perception on, I feel like they might just change their mind. They're probably thinking about things that other things, but if you expose them to thinking of something that they never even thought about, that might open their eyes. That might make them look at something different. But all that being said, this is just my opinion. If you guys want to like have some kind of open dialogue about this, you know, I'm down for it. I mean, I think this is something important that we should talk about more, because it's like swept under the rug. You just hear about people committing suicide and it's not really talked about, or like people aren't really discussing it as much as they should, and like trying to find solutions. Like, you know, I think there should be experiments done, like social experiments and statistics. Of course there are, but there should be more to understand why certain countries have more suicide rates than others, and to try to like eliminate the things that aren't helping and to figure out what is helping the other people that aren't committing suicide, and like correlating problems and solutions and coming up with what works to help people, you know. But that story, I just wanted to share it because it's really sad, and it just goes to show that if you have friends that you talk to, or you know what I'm saying, like just check up on them. And I should check up on some of my friends, even though I don't really talk as much to a lot of my friends, but like the ones I do, like, you know, it's good to check up. Oh, I forgot to mention, the reason he stayed at my friend's house for 3 days and then at his brother's house for 3 days, it was because that was his way of saying goodbye. So that's crazy, because it's like he already was determined that he was gonna kill himself after those 3 days. So that was just his way of saying goodbye. That shit is sad, man. It's crazy when you think about it like that. That he was just saying goodbye in those 3 days. He already had his mind made up what he was gonna do.